Welcome to the Inner Circle, the greatest review show no one's ever watched. I'm your host, Clayton. With me, as always, AJ. And ignore the environment. This is, in fact, my real living quarters, as is the continuing plot line of this review show. Today, though, we have done it. We're finally doing it. It's Ishtar time.
And
these men are pawns.
I put a price of 20,000 dirham on their heads.
Next, they will be hailed as the true messenger of God.
They were just a couple of songwriters who came to Ishtar to break into show business.
And let me just say, I love Ishtar.
I will say that Ishtar is definitely being added to my list of so bad it's good.
Isn't it? I used to think
Yes.
maybe it was a so bad it's good, but after a while I did a full 360 into I think it's an underrated piece of comedy. Just
Okay, all right. So I'll give it to you that it's definitely underrated. I feel like more people need to know about this movie. But do I think it's good? Good as a stretch. Like it's competently made. Like it's shot well. The actors try. I can tell that they're trying with the material that they have. But like the premise escapes me. It's so ridiculous, and it did not age well at all. It's just it makes for such a unique experience.
I think before I'm gonna lay out the plot and who the people are in this, so this makes sense. But real quick, I think the one part that doesn't age well, I think most of it you can pass off as kind of just goofy comedy, except the one scene in the desert with the people that were selling them guns or thought they were selling them guns. I think that was the one moment.
do it.
That's the moment that I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but let me run this down in case anyone is watching this, because I know like two people that actually click on these reviews. Ishtar, a 1987 comedy starring Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty. Two great guys, pretty entertaining dudes. Ishtar, though. So the plot of the movie is two untalented, reading straight from Google here, I'm going to be completely honest. Two untalented nightclub performers get caught in the crossfire when they are booked in a war-torn Middle East. Thanks to Rebel Shira, I think that was her name. I don't know. I watched this like 3 days ago. I forgot already. The duo find themselves in the middle of a revolution where one of them is tricked by the CIA into becoming an asset. And it just all falls apart in goofy comedy where these two dudes that really just want to become Simon and Garfunkel are trying to bring peace to the Middle East. And man, is it just it's an experience.
Okay, so this came out in the late 80s. So there's gonna be, jokes that didn't age well, there's gonna be whitewashing. That stuff's kind of expected at this point. But Dustin Hoffman, like, okay, he's done so much better. Like he was in The Graduate. Now, granted, he was in Meet the Fockers and Little Fockers. Don't recommend those. If you've seen Meet the Parents, just watch Meet the Parents and you're good.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, he kind of goes for it in this movie, and it doesn't really land for me because it's Dustin Hoffman, but as a failed musician alongside Beatty in the Middle East, performing badly, and then suddenly getting swept up into this ridiculous like Cold War conspiracy, and like I couldn't really like my suspension of disbelief. It was a struggle. It was
See,
an
that's
absolute struggle.
I think that's what made me do after like a couple years of the Ishtar joke being a thing just in my brain. That's what made me do a full like 180. Yeah, full like 180 on it is because the plot is I think what carries this movie, but not in the way that it's good and fun, but in the way that it's so just stupidly ridiculous and has nothing to do with the actual two main characters. It just it just works, you know. And
This is shit just happens to them. Like
exactly, things just happen to them, and people tell them, Dustin Hoffman, forgetting his name right now, Dustin Hoffman, you must go out into the desert right now because these freedom fighters want to kill you. And he's like, yes, sir, CIA agent.
absolutely.
And then they just
sure.
go crawling in the sun for hours and sing their way through it. And it's so great. The terrible singing is so good.
I will say that, like, you know, it's annoying at first, and then it kind of like starts to grow on you a little bit with how consistently annoying it is.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, and I saw, I was watching like other material earlier today, and it turns out all these years later, Dustin Hoffman, he's like me. He is an Ishtar like stan. He is all for this movie coming back around.
Ishtar shall rise again.
Because it was trashed when it was released, because almost, you know, it was just ahead of its time. People did not understand the comedic genius of Ishtar.
Well, okay, so it's a cult film.
Absolutely.
And it's in that sense, it's kind of like Krull. Like, Krull's not a good movie, but I love it nonetheless. So, and by the way, like, I want to thank you for recommending this movie to me, because now I have like another really just forgotten gem that I can add to my collection.
And that's the thing, like, I only recommend Ishtar, like, seriously watching it to a certain kind of person I know, because it's not like how you would think, like, oh, a bad comedy from the 80s, so you expect like just random slapstick the whole time and that's it. It's not even that. Surprisingly, Ishtar, like, the comedy can be surprisingly subtle in a lot of scenes of like what the gag is that's happening to them or what they're saying. And that's part of what pulled me in, because I was like there's something happening here. I don't know if it's landing, but it's happening.
Okay, so it's interesting that you say that, because while there is some subtle humor, a lot of it doesn't land for me. But that's also part of the charm, is the fact that it doesn't land.
It's like, for me, a lot of times it's the little things. It's like in the middle of just dialogue where it's like, Warren Beatty comes up with a blind camel he got when he was like shopping in a trance in the heat. And Dustin Hoffman tells him, he's like, you bought a camel? Why'd you buy a camel? And he's like, well, I didn't buy the camel. The guy sold it to me. And something about that. It's like, it's such a little bit of wordplay for a like joke in the middle of exposition and like other dialogue. It endears me to it. I'm like, yes, I am for this.
I mean, I really don't want to spoil any of this movie, because I'm the kind of person that if I'm going to introduce somebody to a cult film or film that I know is not so good, I kind of want them to go in blind.
That's fair. Only reason I use that one as the example is because it is I'm pretty sure that one little joke was in the trailer. They do highlight that one.
Yeah.
Same thing with the other one I said, with the gun one. That's also in the trailer.
You should put the trailer in this review.
Oh, it's gonna cut to the trailer at least twice, just all the way through.
Excellent.
These men are pawns.
I put a price of 20,000 dirham on their heads.
Next, they will be hailed as the two messengers of God.
They were just a couple of songwriters who came to Ishtar to break into show business.
Easy boy.
What the hell's the matter with him? Is he blind?
Well, yeah, he is, but he's in perfect condition.
So how did they wind up on everyone's hit list?
Your life is in danger.
Behave normally. We have guns pointed at your back. No, don't put your hands up, you idiot.
Oh, little darling. My little darling.
I can't believe these men may control the fate of the Middle East.
Oh, where are you?
Do it.
This is unbelievable.
Knowing well that my lover.
Are the two American messengers of God dead yet?
This is the oasis.
Does this look like an oasis to you?
Yeah, look at the birds. Are those vultures?
Just for you.
He's aiming at him.
Will you stop being paranoid?
They're trying to kill us.
Warren Beatty, Dustin Hoffman, Isabella Johnny.
Your girl. How did she get to be your girl?
Only you.
I think they're wonderful.
Ishtar, written and directed by Elaine May.
This is some of our best work.
But you know, like, because of how the film has been these past few months, this is what the show is now. We're just gonna keep bringing in these cult movies, and it's gonna be a list of what people should really be watching. All these Netflix originals and Hulu originals of just drama and bad nostalgia baiting. No. This is now this is now the Kroll and Ishtar show.
Yeah, no, okay. So, like, Netflix is really oversaturated right now. I really think people need to go and, hello, what are you doing?
Are you guys doing a thing?
Yeah, we're...
Oh, a guest star.
I'll be out in a minute.
Cut this part out.
I'll be out in a minute.
This is staying in and being highlighted.
All right, so what was I talking about?
You were making a quick little comment about how Netflix sucks in 2020.
No, okay, so Netflix doesn't suck. It's just oversaturated. And I feel like there's a lot of great, like, retro, classic era films that people would love to see but aren't on Netflix. So I'm 100% with you. We need to, like, recommend as many classic cult movies as we can.
And you know what? That's another thing. So while we're staying off topic here, I was very upset. I had to pay $15 to buy Ishtar on iTunes because it wasn't anywhere else, like, where I would want to watch it. And it was $15. Why is Ishtar $15?
Well, I mean, anyone dumb enough to go searching for that movie better be ready to pay the price.
Yeah, it's a pay up, sucker.
Us.
But yeah, like, and I can't even comment on, like, technical things on this one because it's a Dustin Hoffman, Warren Beatty comedy from the late 80s. So it's not like, you can't really talk about how it's shot super well or anything because it really isn't. It's shot just the way, like, a movie is shot. There's nothing
it
stand out
shows
about
competency, but it's not spectacular by any means.
Yeah, because for me, being the Ishtar superfan, living the lifestyle an Ishtar superfan lives, it's a lot of the interest from this is, like, in the production. The production was one of those things where everything they shot was on location out in the desert in the Middle East, which meant the budget for the movie had no, like, upper cap. It was supposed to be here, and just as they kept shooting, Dustin Hoffman or, like, the producers would keep needing or just asking for things, so it just kept rising, and no one said no. So it just became a movie, like, that costed hundreds of millions, and I love it.
So the budget was definitely a problem, but wasn't there also, like, a ton of, like, on-set production drama as well between
people weren't happy. They were just all in terrible moods. But once it was finished and wrapped up, they all came back around and said, "You know what? I would do it again. Ishtar's great."
And you know what? Good
And that's
for them.
something exactly. And that's something I can give major credit to for this movie is even though it has a crazy production story, or like not crazy, but like it has a rough production story, you can still tell, even if they probably weren't happy while they were shooting it, people were still having like fun making this movie. Like I
can definitely say that the fun kind of shines through, even if the jokes don't always land. And if you're a fan of like cult movies, this is definitely for you.
It literally it fits right in the middle of like just right in the middle of Kroll and like the Star Wars Holiday Special and probably some other alien movies I'm forgetting the name of right now because it's late at night. I live like this.
That is such a perfect place to put it. Is right in the middle there.
Yeah, just you put it right in the middle of the shelf, make sure you're nice and snug. But I could go deeper into how this might be the best Dustin Hoffman movie.
So if you want to watch like a really bad Dustin Hoffman movie, like I mentioned the Meet the Parents movies,
mm-hmm.
You need to watch Sphere, which is like it's an adaptation of a Michael Crichton book. And this is the guy that wrote the book for Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a sci-fi adventure underwater, and the Dustin Hoffman's like the leader of this team of scientists, and it's ridiculous. Like I watched this movie maybe 3 times, and I still to this day have no idea what it's about.
Really?
It's so confusing. Like they find like this alien artifact of some sort, I don't know, and some weird stuff just starts happening with no explanation.
That reminds me. That sounds very similar to a scene from Ishtar where Dustin Hoffman happens to randomly bump into a CIA agent who tells him, "Go play music in the Middle East, dude." And then he says, "Okay, I'll do that."
Literally, he's just like, "Yeah, I'll do it." Whatever.
I love it. Okay, this is mild spoilers for the first part of the movie. It's like, I just became friends with this guy. We started making music together. Our girlfriends dumped us at the same time because we're practically in love through our music making. Well, they don't have the ability, but they try a lot. And it's like, well, I guess we'll go play in the Middle East. This one dude told us he'd pay for us to fly out. like, yeah, that's a smart idea.
Dustin
the whole
Hoffman.
movie. It's like if Beavis and Butthead were a little smarter, but also trying to be Simon and Garfunkel instead of like just punk kids who worship rock stars.
Do you think that Dustin Hoffman kind of carries this movie?
For the most part, yeah. Warren Beatty, he has some good parts here and there, but it's definitely a Dustin Hoffman movie to me.
Yeah, he carries it for me too. So, oh, there's my cat.
More guest stars.
Hey, buddy.
What do you think of Ishtar?
Oh, he didn't watch it with me. I couldn't stand it. The cats don't have the temperament for that.
Couldn't stand. I mean, I get it, because sometimes I can't stand sand either. It's coarse, it's rough. It gets everywhere.
It gets everywhere.
And it gets everywhere.
But yeah, like, this is almost like when I did a solo recording for the Charlie Kaufman movie that's on Netflix, where I pretty much it was like a little review, but mostly like people need to watch this, and I just want to put that statement out into the universe. Like, just we need more Ishtar. If I can find more Ishtar.
I mean, I could do with some more movies like Ishtar, but I don't know if I could go for more Ishtar specifically.
And another like quick fun fact here. Ishtar might be the only movie I've ever seen where the director's cut is 2 minutes shorter than the theatrical cut. Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a director's cut. Is that the one that you watched?
I've seen both. I don't
Okay,
even
because
remember
I
what
think I
2
saw the
minutes were cut
theatrical
out.
version.
Yeah. I don't even remember what 2 minutes were cut out. I just know it's 2 minutes shorter.
I've never heard of that before. Usually the director's cut is longer.
Yeah, because when I think of director's cuts, I think of like Ridley Scott. I think of like an extra 3 hours added onto the movie. But no, yeah, director's cut for Ishtar, they was like, no, we're cutting at least one joke out.
That's fascinating. Wow.
Yeah, so, just more people need to watch and learn about this interesting piece of film history.
What a unique movie.
Exactly. That's the best way to describe it. I'm not even going to give it a rating. It's just
unique.
It's just the big Comic Sans unique.
Oh my God. Again,
yep.
I don't regret watching it.
But you don't now, but then in like 3 days when you're singing their like little lady song that they sing, and when that's in your head and you can't get it out of your head, then you'll regret it.
It's in my head.
That's Ishtar, everybody.
Thanks for that. See you, everybody.